Hello, this is Lydia Gwyn, and welcome to the learning module on secondary sources. By the end of this video, you should be able to define what a secondary source is and tell why you'd want to use secondary sources in your research. And you should also know how to find and access secondary sources. So, what are secondary sources? Secondary sources comment upon, evaluate, interpret, or analyze a primary source. The big difference between primary and secondary is that when it comes to secondary sources, their creators did not experience the event firsthand. Secondary sources include such examples as book reviews, music reviews, art reviews, articles published in scholarly or popular magazines which discuss original research, textbooks, literary criticism, legislative reviews, biographies, and much more. Secondary sources also usually include an extensive list of references that can help you in finding primary sources. Secondary sources in the humanities and social sciences look a little different than what you'd find in the sciences. Secondary sources in the humanities and social sciences discuss, but more often interpret, the information given by a primary source. Examples of secondary sources in the humanities and social sciences include literary criticism, biographies, books on the topic, political or historical analysis, book, movie, art, or music reviews, and journal and magazine articles discussing or interpreting a primary source. For example, a secondary source in the field of American literature would be a piece of literary criticism interpreting the poem She Had Some Horses by Joy Harjo, whereas in this example, the poem itself would be the primary source. Secondary sources in the sciences evaluate or analyze another researcher's scientific experiment, data, research, or theory. They include examples such as article reviews, commentaries, textbooks, data compilations, article indexes, and articles published in both scholarly journals and popular magazines. A secondary source in the sciences might be a scholarly journal article discussing or evaluating Martin Evans's research into stem cells, whereas Evans's original research article on stem cells in mice would be considered a primary source. So why would you want to use secondary sources in your research? Secondary sources are a good starting point when researching an unfamiliar topic. They can give you a deeper understanding of a primary source or a topic and will expose you to multiple viewpoints on your topic. Let's say you're researching Jane Campion's film, The Piano, for your film studies class, and you have to write a 12-page paper analyzing some aspect of the film. Reading secondary sources such as film reviews and scholarly interpretations and criticism of The Piano will give you many different interpretations and perspectives on the movie. You could understand the movie from a feminist perspective, a class perspective, or even a historical perspective. So how do you find secondary sources? Secondary sources are a little easier to find than primary. You can find them in magazines, journals, books, and even newspapers. Most libraries subscribe to databases which are full of secondary sources. University of Tennessee's library subscribes to nearly 1,000 databases, most of which contain secondary source material. You can access University of Tennessee Library's database page by going to lib.utk.edu and clicking on the Articles and Databases link under the Find Materials menu. From the next page, you can view databases by subject and find the best databases to use for your topic. This concludes the module on secondary sources. To learn more, please check out the list of references here.